Hi everyone and welcome to my screencast. This is Chancey here and I'm going to talk you through the mind map I made for my teacher website. I'm going to start this off by apologizing in advance if I'm a little hard to understand, and it's going to be very short and sweet because I have a head cold, and so talking through this screencast is a little uncomfortable for me. So we're just going to get it over with, and I hope it's easy enough to understand and that we'll get through it and you won't have too many questions. But please, if you make it all the way through, give me some feedback on what you think I could do differently or pages I could add to my website. So starting off in the middle, I have a couple of base pages that I wanted. Up on the top in the purple, I wanted a about the teacher page, right? So on this page, I want to include some fun facts about myself, information about my educational philosophy, which obviously will change over time. Know some of us might have done something similar where we've written papers or done small snippets of our philosophy and our background in education. I also want to include, obviously, my background, how many years I might be teaching at one school, how many years I might be at another. Obviously, in this case, it would be a student teaching experience and not, I've been teaching for 10 years at this school district. But that would be able to change over time. I also want to include the goals I have as a teacher, just some goals for myself, for my classroom, something that easy enough to understand for parents, for other educators looking at it on an interview basis, just to show that I'm not only making goals for my students, but I'm also following my own goals. And then I also am going to include a professional picture on there. My welcome page, which is going to end up being probably the first page you see when you go enter the website. I want to include the audio image voiceover that we created with the introduction to the website. Obviously, I'm probably going to have to change it a little as I go through, but I do want to do a personal greeting that plays as soon as the website starts so that families, interviewers, anybody who's visiting the website hears my voice, sees my face, gets that introduction. I also want to put any important notices for classes. So if there's a permission slip currently that needs to be out, something like that, a current monthly newsletter as well to go through. Obviously, a lot of us write newsletters, share newsletters out either through email or we even send them home in print in kids' bags. I want to put a copy of that newsletter on the website so it's always easy to find and get a hold of. Current assignments. So this would be a section header just for things that are currently happening in the classroom for students. So current homework assignments that they have, digital copies of the homework assignments, projects, what project are we currently working on, overarching, group project, personal projects. I want to put examples. I wanted to add more lines on these, but the source for mind map that I use for this wouldn't let me add more in. But for projects, I want to put examples of past student work, rubrics, full descriptions of everything. I also want to put a list of past assignments somewhere, possibly on this page, so that if it's the name of the assignment that I'm using in my grade books and a short description of it, maybe a link to the to the digital copy of it if it was a worksheet or something. So if I give students a list, you're missing X, Y, and Z at the end of the semester, they can easily go on and see, oh, this is what X, Y, and Z is. So the parents can see, these are the assignments you're missing. Here's where I can find everything, all the rubrics or all of the worksheets you needed to complete that you didn't, so that we're all on the same page. And if I keep that constantly archiving old or current homework into this list, it'll be easy enough to keep up to date. Resources, I want to keep a list of videos and packets, review packets for each unit. Any videos that we see in class, videos I find on the topics that are useful, videos that maybe the students themselves make. That way, when it comes time to review for unit tests, even small chapter tests or the big end of the year tests, everything they could need to study would be in one spot. I'd also want to include maybe extra credit options on this page, as well as a running list of past class materials. So if students were out, anything we did in class would show up in order on this page as well, on a side header. Now, what are we doing in class? This would be more of an interactive, fun, instead of these are the assignments, all of the projects we've done in class. This would be more about samples of student work, pictures from activity days that we've had, lots of interactive activities in the classroom, pictures of them going around making posters, things like that. Possibly I put in there write-ups from the last field trip, pictures from the last field trip, anything that shows what we're doing visually or through videos in the classroom so that the parents, the families can see what we're doing. Your school administrators can see it. Other teachers, if you're sharing it with them, can see what you've done in the classroom, just to show that you're not lecturing every day. And staying in touch would be my contact, right? So in my orange, staying in touch, I'm looking at obviously an email address for myself and a class phone number, so the phone number to reach me in the school for emergencies. I'm hesitant to give out my personal number, obviously, to parents, and I'm sure some of you might have different ideas about that. One of the ways I've seen to go around that is using Classroom Dojo. If I set up a Classroom Dojo, parents can text through Classroom Dojo. You'll get the notification on the app. They'll message you that way. You can easily record it, and it's private, but then they're not contacting you via your personal phone during vacations or when they're upset about something, and it's easily recorded as opposed to phone conversations off hours. That's also a great way to send out group reminders as well, and obviously the usual points up and points down for classroom behavior. I also wanted to look into making a class Twitter where maybe each week or month a different student gets to be in charge of it. They could tweet out whatever they find important, and it would obviously be a private thing where only family members who were approved by myself could then follow it and see what we're doing in the classroom. So that could be another way to share pictures, another way to share reminders, another way to show parents, families, school administrators into the classroom. And then lastly, I wanted to put a section in on understanding what the standards are. This is a hard one to go through, so I want to list not only the state standards, the Common Core standards that apply. So this would be social studies for me, targeting middle school social studies. So the standards that I'm following, but then a breakdown. So parents don't need to read through everything. They need to know exactly what you're going for, and it's easier to break it down. So I can list out the standards, pull them from the publications, and there are websites out there that I can link to that break them down for parents to make it a little easier to understand. That's what I'm looking at. I will probably be noting standards on projects and assignments and things so that everyone can see why we're doing what we're doing in class. So those are just some of the steps I'm looking into doing for my website. I think I have enough to put in. A lot of this will be obviously theoretical and slightly made up because obviously I don't have a real class to have Dojo for, but I do know that I can make samples of all these to show in case of an interviewer, or to then be able to update when I do get a classroom. And it'll be easy enough to update this platform to work for me in the future. So if you have any ideas, comments, questions, please leave me a comment. Otherwise, thank you for listening.